Rabbi, what's going on?
Hey, Yosef, how you doing?
Baruch Hashem, I'm excited about this one.
Givaldic, Baruch Hashem. Very good. Let me see, who else is, anybody with us? Who's with us today? Oh, Howie, Baruch Hashem, good. Very good, excellent.
Everybody.
Listen, I feel bad. Last week, I missed you guys. Let me turn off this light. Hold on.
Rebbe, I'm driving, so I'm leaving the group right now, but it's up and
okay.
running. I'm gonna send a couple messages out letting everybody know the Rebbe's on right now, but you're good to go.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, shkayach, Rebbe.
Okay, shkayach to you. Thanks for all of your Mesiras Nefesh. Okay, even on vacation. Avram Yosef, after he comes and he's in the middle of the desert watching, I don't know what, from something. Still comes through. Last week was a little bit of a balagan. I don't know exactly what happened, but there was a mix-up what time, what we were doing. So this week, I would like to, Yossi, your co-host. Very, very, very chashuv. Thank you. Howie, also co-host. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I'd like to speak, first of all, a little bit about, I don't know if you guys know, but I got shaken up tonight. Because when I went to Daven Mariv, I even went before to Yom Kippur Cotton, because it's Erev Rosh Chodesh, and it is Rosh Chodesh Elul. Crazy. It's Elul. It's almost Rosh Hashanah again. It's almost Yom Kippur, Yom Adin. Nuts, right? The year flew by. It was a crazy, crazy year. But Elul shakes me up a little bit. Now, gentlemen, I understand and I sympathize with you people in the United States because you are going through some very difficult problems there, a lot of issues. One of the things I understand that people are trying to do is they're trying to defund the police. The police, crazy. Now, the only people that I know who don't like the police, we all listen, we get tickets and small little things, but we don't have real issues with the police. The people who have problems with the police are people who we're happy the police are protecting us from. But there's a whole movement, defunding the police. Now, this week's Parsha is a very pro-police Parsha. I don't think you could find a more pro-police Parsha than Shoiftim v'Shoitrim Titen Lecha B'chol Sha'arecha. You should set up courts, judges, Shoiftim, and Shoitrim Titen Lecha, and get police. Shoitrim are policemen. Shoitrim are the ones who enforce the law that the judges paskin in the court. We're very pro-police. But it's very, very interesting. This is a mitzvah, which is one of the Taryag mitzvahs. It's a mitzvah that you should set up, establish courts, and you should also have people who enforce the law, because otherwise you will have chaos, like what's going on in many cities in the United States, where people going nuts. You need shaytim v'shaytrim. But that's a mitzvah on the community. It's not a mitzvah on the yochid. The yochid is not the one who appoints police or appoints judges. So why the Nesiv Shalom and many of the Mefarshim ask, why is the lashon of the pasuk shayftim v'shaytrin titein lecha? You should appoint judges and police, shaytrim, in all of your gates. So the Nesiv Shalom says a beautiful thing. He quotes from both Reb Chaim Vital, the Arizal's Talmud Muvak, and from the Shloah Kodesh, who they both say the same thing. They say that a person, every single individual, has a lot of sha'arim, a lot of gates in his body. Gates to what? We have gates that allow things either in and out. We have a mouth, we have eyes, we have ears, we have a heart. All of those things, those are entry points for all kinds of different things. Our eyes can see things, they can see good things, they can, right? They can see bad things. Our ears can hear good things, can hear bad things. Our mouth can take in good things, right? We can eat, we can mekayim mitzvahs with our mouth, we can eat matzah, right? We can oinig Shabbos. But on the other hand, our mouth can let out terrible, terrible things. The Reb Chaim Vital and the Shloah Kodesh say that what the pasuk is telling us, why is it saying Shaytim Titein Lecha? It's a mitzvah on every individual. Because besides the regular mitzvah, setting up courts and having a police force that it can enforce and protect, there's a mitzvah on every single individual to set up for himself courts and to have also police guardians that will protect those gates that are in his body, in his heart, not to allow things into his heart that shouldn't go in there, not to allow things, not to listen to, or not to hear things that he shouldn't hear, not to eat things that he shouldn't eat, not to allow those things into his mouth, not to see things he shouldn't see. But we should be a true and honest judge as to what those gates, who they should let in and who they should let out. That's shoftim v'shoitrim titen l'cha b'chol sha'arecha. The Nesiv Shalom continues and he says that you should know that there's a different kind of gates by a person. He says there's sha'arim, which are our midas, the kind of people that we are, our characteristics. And he quotes the Rambam, very interesting Rambam. We've spoken about this idea a couple times. The Rambam writes, Al toimar she'ein tshuva elo me'averus sheyesh b'maaseh. Don't make the mistake to think that we have to do tshuva only on actions, deeds. I did something, I took something, I ate something I shouldn't have eaten, because of I stole something, I did an avera, I have to do tshuva. He says that's a big mistake. Al toimar she'ein tshuva elo me'averus sheyesh b'maaseh could go into nus, illicit relations, or gezel, stealing, right? Geneva. Elo kishem shetzarich odom lo shuv me'elu. Just like the person has to do tshuva for doing things that are wrong, that were actions that were wrong, koch has to look into himself and to think, are my deis, is my mindset, are my character traits, are they the right kinds of things? To look into ourselves and to see, am I thinking the right things, right? Is my heart in the right place? V'lo min hakas. He says a lot of us get angry. A person loses himself. A person is a koyes. A person has to control himself. We can't get angry at other people. We can't get angry at our wives. We can't get angry at our parents. Kas is a terrible, terrible midah. And the Rambam says, it's not a maaseh. A person can get angry in his heart and hold a grudge against someone or think bad things when he shouldn't think those things. He says those are things we got to do tshuva for also. Kishem shetzarech adam loshu me'elu kachu tzarech l'chapes badeus ro sheyesh lo v'loshu min hakas u'min ha'eva u'min ha'kino, from anger and from holding grudges and from being jealous of other people. U'mei redivos ha'ma'acholim, or that we chase after our taivas. And the Rambam continues and he says, and those avonos, you think these are things in your heart, I'm thinking bad things, I get upset, I get angry. He says, Elu havonos, these sins, koshim mi'oisam sheish ben maaseh. He said, in certain aspects, they're more difficult and more severe than an avera that entails an action. Shebizman sha'odam nishko bo'elu, because when a person gets caught up in these bad feelings, in this anger or jealousy, it's very, very difficult for a person to remove himself from these bad midas. And the Rambam concludes and says, "V'chein hu omer," the pasuk says, "Yazoiv Rasha darke." A person who is doing bad things, right? A Rasha has to leave his path, darko. And then Nesiv Shalom says, "Why does it say darko? You have to leave your bad actions," because he says that what's in a person's head and what a person is focusing on, the kind of person that he is, the plimius, his midas, if he's about chesed, if he cares about other people, he says those things are tremendous, tremendous things that a person has to do tshuva on them. That's the derech. That's what sets a person in the path that he goes on. That is the derech, what's in our hearts. That's what directs us in the direction, if we're going to be good people or bad people. And therefore, a person has to work on his midas, that he should be more understanding and more giving and more caring for other people, and less markbid on what other people do to him, besides the tremendous mitzvah that it is, it will make our lives much, much more enjoyable. I want to tell you, Mary the Gemaisa. I saw Gavaldi Gemaisa. There were two very wealthy people who were Shatchen, knew that one had a son and one had a daughter, these two very wealthy people. And the Shadchan decided it's a great shidduch. You know, money marries money. This would be a beautiful shidduch. His son, his daughter, get them together. So he reads the shidduch. And Baruch Hashem, they get engaged. The girl likes the boy likes the girl. And everything is great. The two fathers sit down to talk about the finances. You know, a lot of chassan, a lot of shidduchim. The finances, you got to speak the finances before you finalize the shidduch. They sit down. They're both very, very wealthy people. The one father says, you know what, I think we got to set our kids up so they'll be comfortable, they'll be able to live well. I think each one of us should give $1 million. That way we'll buy them a nice house. We'll buy them a house up in the mountains also for vacation. They'll be able to relax. We'll set up the young man in a business. They'll start up with $2 million. It's a shame that thing should work out. So fine, they both agree. Each one is kicking in $1 million. Great. The only problem is that a little bit before the chasana, one of those rich people, one of the millionaires, lost all of his money. He went bankrupt. So he comes to his mechut and he says, listen, I'm really sorry. I committed to $1 million and I had every intention of giving $1 million, but I had terrible, terrible financial setbacks and I lost all my money. I have no money. So the other guy who's still a wealthy man, he says, listen, you know, a commitment is a commitment. And we made up, each guy's got to give $1 million. If you can't give you $1 million, so then, you know, I think we should probably cancel the shidduch. The guy who lost the money says, listen, I think our kids, they're in love. They like each other. They want to build a house together. And as far as I'm concerned, we should go on with the shidduch. He says, I don't have money. I'm sorry. But I think we should go on with the shidduch. The rich guy, the one who still got his money, he's like, this is crazy. You know, I'm gonna, you know, he doesn't have money. He said he'd give. He's not going to give. So he decides, look, I'm going to go ask a shayla. He says, you know what? He tells the other guy, let's go to a din Torah. The guy who lost all his money says, I'm not going to a din Torah. By me, it's Parsha that they should get married. He says, if you have a shayla, you can go to Rav. You go to your Rav and ask a Rav. You can go ask a shayla. I'm not going to ask a shayla. The rich guy goes to his Rav. It was Erev Shabbos. He goes to his Rebbe. He goes to his Rebbe, he explains to him, listen, you know, the shidduch, he tells him the whole story. We were both wealthy people. We each committed to $1 million, and this guy lost all his money. So now he's not going to give anything. What should I do? You are so fortunate that you came to me to ask me this shayla. I'm so happy for you. You're so lucky you came to me to ask me this shayla. So the Gvir goes, no, so what's the answer? The Rebbe says, you know what? It's Erev Shabbos right now, very close to Shabbos. You know what? Come back Motzoi Shabbos, I'll give you the psak. But, so the rich guy who still has his money goes home and he realizes, Baruch Hashem, the Rebbe's on my side. And this psak is going to go my way. He told me, I'm very lucky. I came to him, you know, I'm close to him and we're, Baruch Hashem, I have no suffix. He's going to paskin like me. We should break the shidduch. He goes home. His wife asks him what happened. He says, I didn't get the psak yet, but a lot of good signs. Things are going to work out. Things are going to be good. I'm sure it's going to be good. Okay. The wealthy guy makes Shabbos. He's in a great mood. Baruch Hashem, you know, singing and anointing Shabbos. Baruch Hashem. Shabbos is over. He says, Avdollah. He runs to the Rebbe's house. He goes to the Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, no, Akotavach. What's the psak? The Rebbe goes, you are so lucky that you came to me. You're so lucky you're the one who came to me. You're so fortunate. The guy goes, thank you, Rebbe. I appreciate that. What's the psak? The Rebbe says the psak is that you should give your $1 million and you should give another $1 million for him. You pay all of the $2 million. The guy goes, give out. You told me I'm such a lucky man. What kind of lucky man? You paskin that I have to pay his $1 million. He's not paying anything. I'm a lucky man. The Rebbe goes, who are you a lucky man? He says, can you imagine if you were the other guy? If he had come to me with the shayla and told me that you had lost your money, that would have been much, much worse. Baruch Hashem, you have a lot of money. You'll pay the $2 million. Rabbi said, that is a tremendous attitude. The Rebbe's a smart man. Baruch Hashem, you have the money. You can pay the money. You can help out this guy. He got into trouble. That's not the way we think, but that's the way we should think. And when we think like that, you know what? Our kids will be happy, and we will be happier also. Baruch Hashem, I have. God gave to me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me. He gave me bracha. Let me use it to help. This man is in a tough situation. Okay, great. I'm in a situation where I can help him out. Fantastic. That's the way we have to look at things, Rabbi Isai. And if we would do that, if we look into ourselves, right? And instead of trying to grab everything and he's taking from me, we should instead want to give and do a real cheshbon hanefesh by Elo about, is my head screwed on the right way? Am I thinking the right way? Am I a giving person? Can I give more? Am I connecting to a HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Rabbi Isai, Elul, the Nesiv Shalom adds another point. He says, you know what Elul is? He says, just like there are gates that enter into our body, our eyes, our ears, our mouth, that enter and exit points from our body, he says there's also gates to spiritual things. It says Yerushalayim, Shara Shomayim. It's the gateway to the heavens. He says there's also Sha'orim, they're gates in time. He says people think Elul is the last month of the year. It's the end of the year. Tishrei is the first month of the year. That's true. But he says, you know what Elul is? Elul is the shar to the whole next year, is the gate into the next year. Elul is the hachana, the preparation. Elul, if you open up Elul, if you enter into Elul, you go through that gate of Elul and you take these 30 days. Right now, Rabbi Isai, it's not even Rosh Chodesh by you guys. By me, it's already Rosh Chodesh. Some of the time is already gone from Elul. By you guys, you have a full Elul where you can sit down and make this coming year a different year than it ever was. To sit down and really do a cheshbon and nefesh and really think not about just the actions that I did, maybe this wasn't right, I took something wasn't mine, I did something, I said something to someone, but for us to dig deep into ourselves and really think about my midas, about who I am, the essence of who I am, what do I really want to be? And we can every day stop, take a couple minutes, if we just sit down even 5 minutes and stop and to think, what do I have to try to do better? What should I try to correct? How can I be a better person? How can I be more compassionate to other people? How can I be nicer to my wife? How can I take better care of my children? How can I connect more with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That, Rabbi Isai, is what Elul should be about. Elul, it's a gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. He wakes us up. He says, Elul, right? Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. I want a connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants a connection with me. To work on our relationship. Try to stop and think, my davening, can I daven a little bit better? To just accept upon ourselves to think about the words we're saying when we're davening. You know what a Kabbalah that would be? You know what? To try. Just when you start your Shemana Esrei, stop. And say, Hashem, Sfosai tiftach ufi agit v'losech. Hashem, open my lips, right? And let my mouth say your praise. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you stop and you go, whoa, what am I doing? You know, most people, well, you get the Shemana Esrei, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward. You don't even know where the heck you are. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of Shemana Esrei. Look, 1 second, did I say this bracha? Didn't I say that bracha? Did I say yalav yalav? I said yalav yalav? Did I say yalav? I don't even know. I don't know what I said. If we would just stop in our tefillah and we would stop before Shemana Esrei and say, you know what? I'm speaking to Hashem. I'm speaking to Hashem. Stop and think for a minute. Hashem, so Tiftach, help me open my lips and let me daven to you. Let me speak to you. Really speak to you. We're now speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu tefillah. You know, they tell a story, a guy gets into bed. He came home late, he's tired. 12 o'clock at night, he gets into bed, and then he's, about to fall asleep. He remembers, darn it, I didn't have a Maariv. Oh my gosh, I didn't have a Maariv. And he drags himself out of bed, and he's a tzaddik, and he davens Maariv. Now he's a tzaddik that he dragged himself out of bed and davens Maariv. But if we really thought about what does it mean to daven, davening is an opportunity where Kadosh Baruch Hu says, please, I'd like to speak to you. And ask for whatever you need. And that's what we should do, is we should wake up and go, whoa, I can't believe I missed that appointment. President Trump is waiting for me. He said, whatever I need, come, please let me know. It's much greater than that. President Trump is nobody compared to who we have this chus to speak to. Just to stop and think what we have, Rabbi Falk. It's crazy. That's what Elul's about. That we should stop. We should think, where do I want to be? What's important to me? And that is the shar. That is the gate to the whole year. That's what it says in Sefer HaKadosh. Now, Rabbi Falk, I would like to speak a little bit about something that I mentioned in last week's Parsha, which I was not able to, we didn't get together last week, so I wasn't able to speak about it. But it's a fascinating mitzvah in Parshas Re'eh. And one of the mitzvahs in Parshas Re'eh is the mitzvah of tzedakah, giving charity. It says, "Tzedakah tatzil mimovos," that tzedakah can save a person, chas v'shalom, from death. You know, on Yom Kippur, right? We scream, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, right? Tzedakah. We want to give, right? We want to be mezaka other people. And by doing that, we want this chusim that tzedakah can bring us. Tzedakah is a gewaldige thing. Tzedakah tatzil mimovos. So it says in the parsha last week, aser ta'aser, you should give meiser, but it says like a double lashon, aser ta'aser. Give a tenth. Chazal darshan out from that. The Gemara says in Shabbos, Daf Kuf Yotes, aser bishvil shatis asher. Give tzedakah so that you should be wealthy. You should be rich. It's brought down in the Shulchan Aruch that the Gemara says this, but it's paskined in the Shulchan Aruch that this is the only time a person can test the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You can tell him, Kadosh Baruch Hu, I want to see. I want to give meiser. I want to see that I get it back. Right? The Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Reish Mem Zayin in Yoredeh Hilchos Tzedakah, it says Lo olam ein odom mi'oni min tzedakah. A person will never become poor from tzedakah. Nothing bad will ever happen to you because a person gives tzedakah. Shenemar v'yamaisat tzedakah shalom. Tzedakah is shalom, peace. Kol hamerachim alanim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu merachim alav. V'yitein adam eliboy. A person should think, stop and think all the time. Shehu mevakesh kol shah parnasosa me'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the time and we beg him for parnasa. Ukamo shehu mevakesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishma shavoso. Just like we ask Hashem to listen to our pleading, koch hu yishma shavas hanim. Likewise, we should listen to the poor who come and ask us for help. And he also says, that money is a cycle. What goes around comes around. This is scary. He says in the end, the person will ultimately come to a situation who, Obeno, Oben Beno, whether it's him or his child or his grandchild, one of his descendants, he'll come he's going to need help one day. We call him merachim al acherim. If we have rachmanus on other people, merachmim olo. Then Kadosh Baruch Hu will have rachmanus on us. Then he goes and he says, Hatzdaka doiches agzeres hakoshes. Tzedakah can cancel bad decrees, difficult decrees. Ubarov tatzil mimovos. It will save from death. V'hi ma'aseres. It makes a person rich. V'asar lenasos HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's asur to test HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's also asur to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you make believe in you, do this. You can't do that. Asur lenasos HaKadosh Baruch Hu ki im b'davar zeh. Except when it comes to the mitzvah of Meiser. Ki im b'davar zeh. Shenemar, the pasuk says, u'b'chanuni no b'zois. Test me and you'll see. Now, Rabbi said, I haven't married the Kamaisa. I'm not going to go into it now. But I haven't married the Kamaisa. When I got married, I had no money. I really had no money. I was living in Koilo. I was living in an old Arab house. The yeshiva had some old Arab houses where I learned in a yeshiva that bordered. It was on Talpiot in Yerushalayim. It bordered on a place called Beit Zefafa, which was an Arab village. And in the Arab village, the yeshiva had gotten some houses after the Six-Day War. I lived in an Arab village with Arabs. We had no money. We barely had money to make it. We didn't eat fleishiks during the week, only if I ate in the yeshiva. We would have pasta, noodles, and for a real geschmack asuda, we put some cottage cheese in those noodles, with some yellow cheese, and it was beautiful, beautiful days. We lived, and we were happy, me and my wife, and Baruch Hashem, it was some of the nicest times that I ever had. Living with a shtickle Mesiris Nefesh, a little bit pedachkus. But when I got married, I made, I think, $10,000. I married a rabbi's daughter, and I made $10,000, and I decided I'm going to give Meiser. And my in-laws and people told me, you're crazy, you have no money, you're not chayav in Meiser, you're poor, you can take Meiser. They told me all kinds of things you have to give Meiser. When I went back, I got married in the States, I came back to Eretz Yisrael. First thing I did, I went into Rebbe Yoshev, Zecher Tzadik, V'Kodesh L'Vrocha. He was the biggest place in Eretz Yisrael. I asked him, should I give Meiser or not? He told me, listen, it's the best investment that you can possibly make. It says, Aser b'shvil shetisasher. Give, and you'll get back. It's even mutter to test the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, I didn't decide to test the Kodesh Baruch Hu, but the Kodesh Baruch Hu was so good to me that he said, you know, Avram, Falk, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what Meiser is. It's like a kiss. He gave me a hug and a kiss. Mamish. I got together, we saved up, and I got together $1,000 to give them Meiser. I didn't even tell my in-laws. I didn't tell anybody. Just me and my wife knew. We decided we're going to give Meiser. Rebbe Yosef said we should do it. We're going to do it. A week after we gave that Meiser, okay, I went to my Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Zenber, and I gave him $1,000 to give out to poor people in Yerushalayim. A week later, my father-in-law comes in from LA and he tells me we're driving back. I went to pick him up. We're driving in the car back I didn't have a car. Someone picked us up. Driving back, he says, gosh, the craziest thing happened to me a week ago. I go, what happened to you? He says, well, you don't know? I says, no, I don't know. He tells me that the brother of one of the congregants, one of the mispalim in his shul, he said, the member of the shul walks over to him and he says, I have an envelope for the chassan and kala, for the young newlywed couple, for my brother who lives in Switzerland. Now, this brother who lives in Switzerland was not even invited to our wedding. He met my wife. He was in the States. He was in LA by my father-in-law's shul 2 months before we got married. And I think Shavuos, in the afternoon, on the second day of Shavuos, he came and ate by my in-laws. And he met my wife, my future wife. It was 2 months before the wedding. And he met her, and he was by the house. He had a nice time. He went back to Switzerland, right? My father-in-law says, the guy, my congregant, comes over to me, gives me an envelope. He says, this is an envelope. My brother sent it from Switzerland for the young couple. Now, gentlemen, when I got married a long time ago. Okay, got married in 1977. Okay, that's a long time. In those days, when you got a wedding gift, the normal wedding gift was $18. $36, that was good. $50, that's what the rich people gave. $100, that was out of the ballpark. That was $100. You got $100. That was from a really rich guy who really, really loved you. That was years ago, right? My father-in-law says, the guy gives him the envelope. He says, it's for my brother in Switzerland. He says, I open it up. And he says, I see it's a check for $1,000. He says, I don't understand. This guy wasn't even invited to the wedding. And he gives you a check for $1,000. A week ago, he just comes up to me, gives me a check for $1,000. He says, I don't understand. I don't understand where it came from. I said, Dad, I will tell you where that money came from. You know where that money came from? Because we made $10,000 at the wedding. The Meiser from $10,000 is $1,000. And a week ago, which is when you said you got that money, a week ago, we gave that Meiser. And the guy came over and gave you that back. Kadosh Baruch Hu just wanted to tell me. He says, listen, You have money, you don't have money. Meiser is the best investment you can make. Mom is crazy. This guy from Switzerland, we sent him a thank you note. We sent him a Hanukkah card. We sent him a Happy Pesach card. We sent him a New Year's card. We never heard from him again in our lives. Didn't see him before, didn't see him afterwards. The Kadosh Baruch Hu made him a shliach. Aser b'shvil shetis asher. Gentlemen, I want to explain this. It's very interesting. This I saw in the Sefer of Rabbi Shimon Schwab, who's the uncle of our Rabbi Schwab. He says, what does it mean, aser b'shvil shetis asher? Give meiser so you should become rich. Rabbi Shimon Schwab says, Jews, are we hung up about being rich? Is that what we strive for, to be rich? When your mother lights Shabbos candles and she davens for her children every Erev Shabbos, what does she daven for? Oh, Kadosh Baruch Hu, make my son rich, make him rich, make him rich. No, that's not what she davens for. Most of our mothers daven that we should be good people, we should be Emesa Yidden, we should be Ovdei Hashem, right? Should be healthy, we should have good mishpachas, we should have a good wife, we should have shalom bayis. We daven to be good people, to be good Yidden. That's what we daven for. Rav Shimon Schwab says, what kind of gift is that? Aser b'shvil shetis asher? You should be rich. We don't emulate wealth. That's not what we're about. We need to make enough so we should be able to live. Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises us in the Torah all the time that He'll take care of us. If you'll do what you're supposed to do, then your fields will be, you're plentiful and you'll have enough to live on and you'll be able to give charity. But being rich, is that what it's about? It's very strange. I want to ask you another question, gentlemen. I try to give meiser. I know a lot of rich people who give meiser very, very religiously because they don't want to get on God's wrong side. They're making a lot of money and they want it to keep coming. So therefore they give meiser. But you know what? I know a lot of people who are not rich who also give meiser. So I don't understand. There's a bracha. Aser b'shvil shetis asher. Give meiser so you should be rich. But I you know what? I'm not rich. I haven't paid for 6 months, right? I'm not a rich guy. I don't have a lot of money. So what is the pshat? It says, test me. Test me and you'll see, meiser, and you'll be rich. Shimon Schwab says a Meir Dik pshat. He says there's a Gemara in the Dorim. The Gemara in the Dorim says, I think it's on Daf Lamed Ches. The Gemara in the Dorim says, Omar Reb Yochanan, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashre shchinosoi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not bestow his shchina. He will not give nevuah to a navi, elo al gibor. He has to be courageous, powerful. The ashir, he has to be rich. The chacham has to be very, very smart. The anov, he has to be humble. So you see from this, 1 second, it says in order to be a prophet, you have to be rich. So you see that being rich is it must be a good thing. Because you can't be a navi unless you're an usher. You got to be a gibor. You have to be an usher. Says Reb Shimon Schwab. He quotes the Rambam. Very dik Rambam. The Rambam asks this question. The Rambam says, how can there be a condition for prophecy to be rich? If a person is a tzaddik and close to Kadosh Baruch Hu, he has to be rich to be a navi. The Rambam says like this. He says, you know what an usher is? He says an usher is a person. It's a maila in midos. It's a midah toiva. He says, you know what an usher is? You look in Pirkei Avos. Who's an usher? Ezu usher hasamech bechelkoi. It's a person who's happy, who's content, who appreciates everything that he has, and he realizes that a Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him everything that he needs, and he realizes that, you know what? I'm an unbelievably wealthy person because I have everything that I need. Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of me, gives me everything I need. How could I be richer than that? He says, how does a person arrive at a sense of ashiris? When a person works on himself and realizes that, you know what? I will take care of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I will do everything I can to help those that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants me to help. Kadosh Baruch Hu has aniyim, almanos, yisayimim that need to be taken care of. I take care of them, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of me. I give meiser, a Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of me. And I realize that everything that I have is a gift and a chesed of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That is an Osher, a person who's content and happy with everything that he has. A person like that is the richest person in the world. Chazal say, Oyev Kesef lo yis Kesef. You see, these people are rich to eat things. So a person who's appreciative from everything that he has, Kodesh Baruch Hu will give you what you need. He'll give you that everything you need. You give, he'll give you back. And he gives back, and you can test him, and you can see that. But it's a midah, it's a maila, it's a beautiful characteristic, it's a trait, a character trait. Ezu osher asamech bechelko. That's aser to aser. Kadosh Baruch Hu will give you everything that you need. Rabbi Sai, that's a midah, to be happy with what we have, to have a karsa tov to Kadosh Baruch Hu for everything that He's given to us. That's a tremendous midah a person has to work on. And that person is the true usher, and that person is the true happy person. And when the Gemara says you have to be a gibor, it doesn't mean you have to be able to press 400 pounds. A gibor, what does Chazal say? Ezu gibor hakoyva shesitzro. It's a person who has control over himself, who can do what he wants to do and not just what he feels like doing. Those are midas. Rabbi say, Elo is the gate to the year. We have now 30 days till Rosh Hashanah where we can stop and think, who do I want to be? I want to be a gibor. I want to be Ezu Gibor Kodesh. I want to be a true usher, a wealthy person. It doesn't say you can have a lot of money, but you're going to be a wealthy person. You're going to be an usher. I want to be Ezu Usher Samech Bechelko. I want to have a connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want to try to be about chesed. I want to care more about people. We got to look into ourselves and to maybe for the first time, if we realize and we focus, first time really make a change, make our next year different, make the next year the year that we really, really want it to be, the year that we really want to focus on those things that are important for us to focus. Meretz Hashem, you guys should have a gewaltige chodesh, a guten chodesh, and a good gebencht year, and we should have a ksiva v'chasima teva. Shkoyach, thank you.
Shkoyach.
Oh, thank you very much, Rabbi Sai. You sure I'm mamish?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Last week when we didn't get together, I you know what I mean? It was hard. You know, it was painful. Baruch Hashem, thank you all for being here. I'm mamish enjoying you guys.
I feel your pain.
What is that? You feel my pain? It was. I was going nuts. I came here. I was like, what's going on here? Rabbi said, I'm going to see you guys back with Hashem on next Wednesday afternoon, 1:30.
Okay, great. Sure.